Every person has a story, but not everyone has a place to tell it. I'm Frank Swoboda. I've interviewed amazing people all over the planet. I want you to meet them. This week, the most interesting person you've never heard of is
Geshela Phelgye. Thank you for being one of the most interesting people I've ever met. and that no one's really ever heard of. Well, I wouldn't say no one. There are lots of people that know who you are, but so let me see if I can set the stage a little. All right, you are a Buddhist monk, yes. Obviously. Yes. The outfit gives it away.
Yeah.
Originally from Tibet.
Yes.
You are here in Spokane, Washington.
Yes.
You have a temple, right?
Yes.
In the northeast part of Spokane.
Yes, right.
And you've been here 11 years.
Yes.
How in the heck did you get here?
Well, that's an interesting thing. I was touring. I actually came to California, and my host lady, her name is Nancy, a very kind lady, and she would take care of all the scheduling and everything, and she would normally, basically travel with me. And we were going to Canada up north. I even forgot some of those name of the places, but so we stopped at Coeur d'Alene. We have another mutual friend, and she had arranged a couple of talks in different churches, including North Idaho College.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't even know there is a place called Spokane. We landed in the airport, and then somebody come pick us up, and we were in Coeur d'Alene. And so in the North Idaho College talk, after the talk, a lady from Spokane came up to the stage and presented me with a book about Tibet, and asked me if I would come to Spokane. And I said, "Where's that?"
It's so far away.
Yeah, and she says, so and so. And then I said, "Okay, talk to Nancy."
Yeah.
So that's how it began, and then Nancy and the lady, her name is Lori Lindman. Nancy and Lori arranged my stop here in Spokane on my next trip. I think that the first thing was 2009,
mm-hmm.
And then 2010 I came to Spokane.
Came back.
Yeah, I came to Spokane, and I don't know the details, but I had several events at Gonzaga.
Gonzaga University, correct.
Yeah, and then a whole day long events at EW.
Eastern Washington University, right?
Mm-hmm. So at my talk at Gonzaga Law School, after the law school, some professors came to me and asked if I would come teach at Gonzaga.
Huh.
And that was very unexpected. And to me, it's very auspicious and precious.
Yeah.
Such an invitation coming from a Catholic university to a Buddhist monk,
right,
out of blue.
Right. Did that surprise you?
Yeah. And I said, why not? I just appreciate it.
What if I say yes?
Huh?
You're like, what? Why not say yes?
Yeah, in a heartbeat, I say, why not? So that's how it began, and then we shared our contacts, and then I started to receive official invitation from the university office. So basically, Gonzaga brought me over.
Uh-huh.
They paid for everything, including my transportation of my stuffs, everything. I came here for 1 year program, 1 year exchange program.
To teach.
Yeah. And that was my first experience actually walking into and teaching into a modern college.
In America.
Yeah, in America.
Were you intimidated? Or
no,
I don't think you're intimidated by anything.
Not intimidated, but it's just a lot to learn.
Yeah,
a lot to learn in terms of culture, in terms of the system,
language.
In language, yeah, I do speak some English. My English is still.
I think it's really good.
That I still struggle. But yeah.
It's your spiritual practice, Geshela. It's your spiritual practice.
Kind of, yeah. So, and then they request me to stay another year. So I spent 2 years. And then I was going to go home, and then EWU requested me to come over to their campus. So
they kept pulling you back.
Yeah, and I said, I'm happy to come over, but these paperworks, the immigration paperworks and visas and all those things are kind of like, complicated. And so I said, these paperworks are kind of challenging. If you take care of those things, I'm happy to come over.
Yeah, good for you.
And the university said, yeah, we have a department there, take care. We always,
Sure.
have those things for our students and
faculty. And
so this is how I moved to EWU. After Gonzaga.
And then eventually you started the temple. How did that happen? And I don't know if I'm calling it that. Is that the right name?
Yeah. To tell you the truth. I was not at all interested to come live here. I was never attracted with American dreams.
As far as you knew them, right?
I was never attracted with the dollar.
Right. Or as someone told me once, I've said this before on a podcast, but I was in Greece.
Yeah.
And one of the people there that we met spoke English, and he said, is it true that everyone in America has perfect teeth in swimming pools?
It's interesting how...
Because the movies, right?
Yeah. It's very interesting. You come with... We all do, right? We humans always do. You hear about things, you learn some things, but you never have the complete information. So you live with and you come with a kind of a mixed impression.
A listening.
See, this is where I make mistakes.
An interpretation of
perception. A mixed perception, right? A mixed perception. So basically, I know we all know America is known for its power, its wealth, its
capitalism.
It's the capitalism is something I learned after coming here. I did not know about that before. But yeah, a lot of good things, right? As America. But other things that we kind of know about or hear about America when living outside.
Right, from where you came from.
Yeah, is what you see in the Hollywood movie. You
That's
know,
right.
so image of America is like almost like if you say into one two words, it will be, of course, materialism and violence and sex.
Right. That's
Well,
what
and that's what Hollywood presents.
Right. And I had a conversation with a woman from Jordan who lives here.
Yeah.
She was one of my podcast guests. And she runs Feast World Kitchen here, which is a fantastic place. And she was saying that all the movies that she watched were Rambo and Sylvester Stallone and Bruce Willis action movies, mostly really violent and killing.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And because those are the largest exporter in America. America's largest exporter is entertainment. And we export to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Usually lots of violent and sexually explicit content.
Yeah.
And so no wonder. That's what that's your perception.
That's the image, because that's what you see. I was never really when you're young, you do want to watch movies and those things, right? And particularly when you are a monk.
Did you?
When you're a monk, there are all this kind of restrictions, so you're not supposed to go to a movie and that type of thing. But time to time, you sneak out and go watch a movie,
What?
Yeah, go watch a movie.
You're crushing my...
No, I'm telling you the truth. So, but I was not interested in watching Hollywood movies as much. Very few. I would like to watch Indian movies because Indian movies, no matter what, they always try to show something to do with the karma. Karma is also equally believed in Hinduism. So every movie, Bollywood movie, has a message. When you do wrong, you may
a moral
win for a while, but a moral. At the end of the story, the wrongdoers are in suffering, and then those who are honest and the good people win at the end.
The good wins.
Yeah, that's
the
always,
light wins.
That's always the moral or message of Bollywood movies. So you did, not just entertainment, but you also kind of like have a good message there in Bollywood movies.
Right.
On the other hand, the few movies that I've seen in Hollywood movies, you don't really know where it starts, and there's hardly any good stories, hardly any message.
Right, and not in the movies that you saw. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
so you weren't thrilled to really live here.
You already mentioned one of the Hollywood movie I saw was Rambo 2. Rambo.
See?
And then what was the other one? What's called 007? What's
Oh yeah,
James Bond. James Bond.
James Bond. 007.
Yeah. 007.
Yeah, they're kind of comic book movies,
yes.
really.
Yeah.
Although I love
those
James
are the few movies I had a chance to see.
Sure.
So
yeah,
you can imagine what image you get.
Right. And that's the perception that you have of America as you get here. So you weren't really crazy about staying here.
So we all know that people from around the world, like you say, American dreams, right? People want to come to America, do what it takes, legal, illegal, pay money, whatever. They think in the life, the first place, if possible, is to get to America. then the rest.
Everything will be okay.
The rest places, it's next, but the first choice always the America, right?
Yeah.
It's the materialism. And to tell you the truth, I got an invitation to come to America the earliest 1979, and I refused. So over the years, there has been several invitations to come teach, but I was not interested going to America and make a bunch of money or any of those.
Right. So when you come here and they ask you that, I would say like in the Catholic religion that I grew up in. The priest would be considered a priest. In fact, that's what Geshela means, right? Is equivalent to father. Whoever. They would have to answer to a bishop and the pope, a cardinal and a pope, right? They have a hierarchy. Was there someone that you had to discuss that with and talk to get permission to come, or is that a different system? Are you sort of allowed to be your own autonomous?
There's no particular rules such as that, but yeah, obviously, there is, like you say, there is a sense of responsibility.
I mean, does the Dalai Lama know that you're here?
Yes. Okay, so now the reason, like I mentioned that I have been traveling, okay. And reason that I started to travel was because of His Holiness.
His Holiness, right?
Yes, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. In 1990. Okay, let's start from kind of like so it'll make the better sense. In 1978, I think it was back in 1978. His Holiness visited our monastery in South India. Those days, being a young monk, a junior monk, studying and struggling with the livelihood and everything, but at the same time, I had a feeling that I now have quite a bit of knowledge in Buddhism after studying some years. Then I thought, all this those days I don't think there's the perception of degrees and those things even existed in our society.
Right, like a degree in college or something.
You surrender, you devote your life for Dharma, for Buddhism. Once you take the vow and join the monastery, you give your life to the monastery. So you do not carry any personal ambitions or anything, and it's all about. In Buddhism, we talk about like mind training. It's all about spirituality. It is about transformation. It is about renunciation from the worldly pleasure. So
giving up.
Yeah. So I had a feeling that I now have earned enough knowledge in Buddhist path that I can actually go and meditate. I don't need to do all the philosophical long studies.
The studying anymore, right?
I thought I just want to go into the mountains and meditate. But then at the same time, I wasn't sure if my thinking is right or wrong. So because His Holiness was visiting our monastery, I took the opportunity and wrote a little note those days back in India, we computer never existed then.
Sure, right.
So I wrote a little note and handed it over to the secretary of His Holiness and say, would you please, bring this to His Holiness and seek his opinion, his guidance. What do I do, in my life? And then he asked, what is that? And he says, I'm feeling like I really want to go to the mountains and meditate.
Is that what was on the note?
Yeah. And then secretary said, yeah, I'll do that for you. And he said, tomorrow you come by at the same time right here and I'll get back to you.
So when he was coming there, and how many monks are there at that time roughly?
In 70s, I would say less than 1,000.
But there were 1,000 gathered there when he came.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So was there excitement? Were you nervous? Or is it just another day?
Yeah. So now you are interfering in my story. Then I lose my track.
Okay. We'll get back to the note. So you gave him the note, and then you were going to meet them there the next day. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. So that next day, I got the note back with His Holiness, note on top of my note, and which said, no hurry to go to mountains, finish your studies and then we can talk. So that led me to complete my studies in 1991 because I was still quite determined to go to the mountain to meditate for some years,
So just to be clear, 1978 you meet the Dalai Lama. You leave a note for him. He's there, and then you stayed and studied until 1991.
Yeah.
So another 11 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So and then in 1990, because in our tradition, if you go for the most prestigious degree, Geshela, is called Geshela, that takes the extra years of studies to get that prestigious degree. But a simple Geshe degree can be done like in those days, it took me 18 years.
Wow.
So in I became a monk in 1973. So I finished my studies in 1991, and I was granted the Geshe degree in 1991. So then, with that advice from His Holiness back in 1978, I go to His Holiness.
Is he going to remember this note?
Yeah, I reach out to the secretary Dan, and I told him that I had this conversation back in 1978, and now I finished my studies. Can I have an audience? I want to talk about my life.
Right.
And secretary kindly had me in, and that was my personal one-to-one audience with His Holiness.
Wow.
The first time.
That would have been 1991. 1991?
1991.
Wow.
I had audience before with a group of people, but this is the one-to-one. So then I told His Holiness that, Your Holiness, you told me this and that back in 1978. Now I have finished my studies, and now I surrender before you. Tell me, what do I do? Okay, no, that's not true. Okay, so when I said I finished my Geshe degree, it's true. So my memories. Yeah. So when I said I finished my Geshe degree, then that's right. I did say that. In our traditional saying, we say body, mind, and speech, meaning whole of myself. I offer to you. I offer to you now. Tell me, what do I do?
The whole of me, yeah.
Yeah. So then His Holiness, now go to the Tantric college and finish Buddhist Tantric studies. So of course, then I went to the Tantric college and finished that course.
How long was that?
A year. No, traditionally a year. And then
Can I ask you a question before we go forward?
Yeah.
What was it like to meet him? Was there a difference? Or is it just
Of course, I don't know if there's
how do you describe it?
If there is a really efficient words to describe,
It's undescribable.
It's just amazing.
Is there an energy?
His Holiness, His Holiness is everything for us Tibetans particularly, and I think for all the Buddhists. And now we all know how
I think for everyone in the
popular
world,
he is in the world, right?
Right.
So it's just amazing.
Were you nervous?
Energy? No. But it's just like, unbelievable opportunity,
Yeah.
So then in 1992, I went to the Tantric college, finished that. In 1993, I go back to him again.
Here's this guy again. He keeps coming back.
Your Holiness, I have done that too. Then His Holiness asked me, why don't you go to West?
To the West?
Yeah. Why, just people are hungry for Buddha's teachings. We do have lots of good teachers, but here you have, we say, I don't know, in Tibetan we say Dapsho Nide, which means like two wings of the birds, which means like you have your own knowledge, but also have the language, having
the study,
having English.
Oh, sure.
So His Holiness, so meaning he what he meant is that if I go to West, I don't need to drag another person as interpreter,
because you could speak.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So. But then I, of course, whatever he says, when you surrender yourself to him, right. Whatever he says. So I bow down, but at the same time, he looked at me and he said, "Well, but what is in your mind?
What do you think?"
Yeah, what do you think? So
that's pretty cool that he asked your opinion.
Then I asked His Holiness, Your Holiness, I still want to go do some meditation before I talk to people. I have spent 2 decades in studies. I want to practice and experience some before I talk to people. And His Holiness was very pleased,
to hear that.
Yeah.
That you wanted to meditate, basically.
Yeah. Interesting.
It would help you.
I'm just
anyway.
observing. I'm just observing while sitting there. His Holiness was sitting there. I see a cup of tea, Tibetan tea. Normally what in English people say Tibetan butter tea. I see he didn't have really chance to finish his tea. His tea sitting there on the table, getting cold. And I'm like, wow, this is how busy he is. There's so many
he can't
people.
even drink his tea.
Yeah. People just constant
All day long.
people in the queue to visit him.
Right.
But
I imagine when he does speak to you,
yeah,
you're the only thing that matters.
Yes. But then His Holiness was so pleased that he actually kind of, relaxed. He kind of took his robes down and relaxed back. And I was sitting before him on my knees, and he said, sit back, relax. So then I kind of sat back properly. And then he started to give me advices on the practice about meditation in general.
Wow.
I had the opportunity.
What did he say? What was his advice?
Huh?
What was his advice on meditation?
Advice about my practice that when I say I want to go to meditate. So, where I am. Okay. You can edit these things, right?
I don't know. It's pretty interesting. Probably not.
Okay.
I think the pauses are more powerful, honestly. There's something about the stillness in the middle.
Okay. Anyways.
It's pretty cool.
Anyways. So.
It's true.
All right. So anyways. So then that's it. Yeah. So I had the opportunity to go to the mountain, and His Holiness even said, he gives me the guidance, this, step by step, and then says, if you have any questions, as you go meditate, if you have any questions or any thing that you want or need to discuss me, come to me. Feel free to come to me. So
is that rare?
It is rare. I believe it's rare. So therefore, I went to the mountain from 1993 to 1997.
Wow, 4 years.
1997, 93 to 1997, November 17, I got a bad news. My father passed away down in the south, and
the south of Tibet.
No, South
in
India.
South India.
And my brother wanted me to come visit, so I had to kind of leave in an emergency way, and so then I went and I took care of everything, and I actually picked up my mom, because now mom is helpless, right? So I picked up my mom, and then I asked mom what she wanted to do, and she wanted to go do some pilgrimage. I took her to some pilgrimage, then went to Dharamsala, and she says, I want to live here in Dharamsala, close to His Holiness. Then that's how, long story short, I realized that my mom needed me. She was 100% dependent on my dad. She didn't even know how Indian money bills works. She never had touched money.
Wow.
So now I realized that now she needs me, and originally my thought was like I can, rent a room and have her there, and then I can just come visit her. I can still go back to the mountain. But that was not the case. So then I had to leave my place. I had built a kind of like a little cave up on the mountain. I gave that to another meditator who wanted to come meditate.
Can you tell me where that is in the world? So this what
Dharamsala.
does the mountains mean?
Well, Dharamsala. So you sounds like you're completely new to us Tibetans.
How did you know?
Because your questions are...
The Tibetan mountains.
I expected a little better.
I'm sorry. I guess I needed to brush up on my Tibetan geography. Please forgive me. So the mountains of Tibet?
Dharamsala is north of India.
Okay.
In north of India, and Dharamsala became popular on the world map when His Holiness the Dalai Lama received Nobel Peace Prize in 1989.
Okay. So this is North India.
Yeah. So now, Dharamsala become very popular because of His Holiness Dalai Lama and us Tibetan people up there. So there's a little town in the mountain top, and then from there you go up further in the mountain, the foothills of the Himalayas. Normally, my cave from the little town, it would take 3 hours to climb on the mountain. So, long story short, I gave away my place to another meditator, and then so while in this precious time and on the mountain meditating, and I had little kind of guilt feeling that His Holiness want me to go teach in the West.
That was gnawing at you.
Yeah. I'm enjoying this wonderful opportunity of meditation and being so close to His Holiness and all of this, just amazing. But at the same time, His Holiness, the first thing he came out of his mouth is, go West to teach.
Right, that's the first thing he said.
So I'm like, I'm just being selfish here. His Holiness want me to go teach.
He asked you what you wanted.
So then,
and you did, and you did choose that, and you got to do that, but you just didn't forget his words.
Yeah. So now that I had to leave my mountain place and take care of my mom living in the town. Anyway, so then I thought, okay, I got to do what He always want me to do. So then, I applied for a passport and then, in Buddhism, we talk about karma. And then there is this, a young American from Harvard University coming to Dharamsala on his research. Then he got a chance to meet with His Holiness. And then after his audience with His Holiness, he inquired in the office to if there's anybody that I should go see, in the area on my topic. So secretary suggested him to go see me. So, all of a sudden, very interestingly, about 11 in the morning, I was just about to wind up my morning session on the mountain.
Your meditation session.
Yeah, and that is that's got to be 1990. I don't remember. Sometimes in the 90s when I was in mountain, and somebody knocking outside, and I just quickly wind up my morning session and come out. There's a young man. This is an American boy, and he comes.
That's not something you see every day in your cave.
Yeah, in the mountain, you know.
Right.
He
trekked up there.
He
climbed up
with
there.
a little note of my name, and is this you? And I say yes. And then he says that he was referred to me. So long story short, and if he could interview with me, I said yeah. I said, you know, you climb up here all this way in the rain.
Oh my gosh.
If you could come up here, I will sure give you my time.
Right, because that's how long would it take him? 3 hours, or
Yeah, I think more if you
with the rain and everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you don't have the experience of climbing on the mountain, it would take more, right?
Right, probably double that.
So anyway, so he would come almost every day. I don't know how many days, but he did come. So with that connection, he invited me to come to US for a talk tour here. He is a very smart boy, and so he arranged chain of talk shows across the U.S. from Harvard to all the way to San Francisco. So
speaking tour.
Yeah, speaking tour. So that's how I began touring.
In the United States.
Teaching, yeah. But I was never interested to come live here. Now you ask, I come back to your question. You said you have a temple, right? And yes, I got a temple. Even coming here and living on the campus at EW, teaching all these years, I was just on the regular J1 visa that has to be renewed every year and all that thing. I never thought of live here.
Right, you're just
not interested.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
But then
those James Bond movies, I don't blame you.
And then in 2016, one of my dear friend, a lady from Seattle, she said, Geshela, you know, now you have been here and you're teaching at the university and dealing with visas every year. Why don't you apply for a permanent residence?
Citizenship.
Yeah, a permanent residence. She says, I have some money saved. If you're interested, I can go talk to her attorney. So I said, okay, thank you. So that's how my,
you received
opening to stay longer, you know.
Sure, yeah.
So long story short, in 2017, I got the green card, the permanent residence.
Huh.
And then that's how because ever since I came to Gonzaga, you know, being a Buddhist monk, there are people who are interested in Buddhism following me.
Right.
So there's a little group already.
Right.
And we kind of struggle for a place to
meet regularly, you know? Sure.
Yeah, we just go house to house here and there. So then I started to look for property. And that little church I found
on East Rich Avenue,
yeah, on sale. And and then in 2017 I got that.
Wow, that's odd that was available.
Yeah.
It's perfect. I think it's a perfect spot
Yeah.
for you.
And I got that, and I got the green card. And then, COVID comes, this and that. Long story short, EW, my dean says, Geshela, I'm so sorry. I don't have a budget to keep you here.
Oh, right, sure.
It's a new dean,
Yeah, sure.
Dean who hired me had everything for me. The new dean, I think, facing financial challenges.
Sure.
And then plus COVID coming.
Yeah, well, that's
all
a big
these
part
things,
of it.
No
kidding.
So then I needed a place to live. So I bought a little manufactured home that I now live on the Temple campus. I bought that and put it there, and so moved to Spokane.
So here you are.
So that's my story. How I landed here? People ask me, Geshela, why Spokane?
Right.
A million times. People always ask that, and I sometimes say, in Buddhism we talk about karma. Sometimes I just tease people and say, ask God.
Right, it wasn't your choice.
Yeah.
You ended up here.
Yeah, because it's interesting.
Do you feel like the next place you go, you'll continue to seek His Holiness's advice, or I suppose you will if you move to.
I had been really, really, really fortunate. I had many private audience with His Holiness. My last one was back in 2018 when I went back to India. So each time, and I seek His advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's happy with where you are.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, he was very appreciative.
Does he play pool? Billiards. So earlier, before we started this podcast, I have a pool table out here, and you said to me, I've never played that. I've only seen it in the movies, right?
Yeah.
And so we had there's some balls out there, and I am honored to be the first person to teach you how to play pool. Your first shot, I'm not kidding, this is true. First shot you ever took in your life with the 6 ball that's the same color as the tunic you're wearing.
Yeah, interesting.
You made the first shot ever. Was that focus? I think it must have been. Pool's a game of focus.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was pretty
Coming to North America, I had all kind of experiences, like starting from horse riding. And each time when I try something, people are amazed. Some friends up in Canada.
Were you wearing this when you were riding the horse?
Yeah, and he's a horse guy. He has beautiful, big horses, and he tore me around and he said, Geshela, would you like to try? I said, why not?
Right, why not?
So I jump on, and first moment maybe kind of a little scary, but then when I got the balance, and we basically had a good race in a way, and I did
a good ride.
Yeah, good ride. So I didn't fall.
That's a good ride.
That's a part, I remember being naughty back in 1960s when I was maybe 11, 12. We go after animal, and there were some horses. We don't even know whose horses are there, in the gray in the grass. So we would just try to catch them
In the
and
field.
ride, you know?
Yeah.
And ride and
Not easy.
Those, not easy, but we always made, you know? There was one time the horse threw me out.
So you actually rode horses, just bareback, jumped on a wild
Yeah,
horse?
bareback,
Wow.
bareback. And I was the big boy, the naughty boy. I had 2 more kids. So you know, 3 of us riding on a horse, and horse was not happy, and she jumped, like, you know, what you call this? Like,
Bucked you off.
Yeah, bucked you off.
Right. Wow.
Those are those, you know, when you were like 11, 12, and then coming here, you get to ride these big American horses. And then at EW, some of our colleagues, our deans, they take me to golfing.
Oh, golf. I play golf.
They
How's
take
your
me
golf
to,
game?
The same thing. They're just amazed. They saw, you know.
You're pretty good.
Yeah. And then...
You need to send pictures of golfing and playing pool to the Dalai
then-
Lama and tell him what you're up to over here.
And then... also I got the chance to canoe, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a lot of good time.
Canoeing's really fun.
Canoeing. But what's the other one? Small one.
Kayak.
Kayak. I tried to kayak and I almost drowned in water.
Well, you learned that much.
Yeah,
You learned that
yeah.
much. Wow.
So yeah, I had some.
You've had a good adventures.
Good adventures here in North America.
That's good. Well, thank you for being here.
MIP Podcast was filmed at the studio of Corner Booth Media. Please sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on social media. You can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, and anywhere podcasts can be found. Be good to yourself and stay classy.